Okay. So, in the long run, wait. Oh, never mind. Okay, so first we're talking about, how do you pronounce that guy's name? Stepanek?
Sure, that works for me.
Okay. So, imagine you are Merton, and it's time for your 9 a.m. meeting with Tevins and Harris. What position would you advocate in that meeting?
Oh man, you're breaking up. I can hear you.
For your 9 o'clock meeting.
The options are either to let him go or keep him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you going to want to keep him, or are you going to want to let him go?
Well, this has been the third time in the last year that incidents have happened under his watch, so maybe it is time to let him go.
Is it documented? I don't remember if they were documented or not.
I just barely read it, and I don't think it was documented. It just says at the end, like in the fax that we sent to Harris, that this has been the third time that it's happened, or a safety incident's happened in the last year.
I think my decision would depend on whether or not those other incidents have been documented. If they had been documented, then I would say, yeah, it's time for him to go. But if they haven't, then I'd be a little bit worried about wrongful termination.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey. I was also thinking too, how clear was his understanding of not
You broke up
about that, or sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was also thinking that wondering how clear they were with him the last time, whether or not they were really clear about the fact that he needed to think about safety first. Was I breaking up still?
No.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Did you guys think it was Stepanek's fault?
I don't think it was. That's probably because, I mean, yes, he's the supervisor. He's in charge of the supervisor, and so it really wasn't. He is the supervisor, so I don't think it's his fault, because as it said in the document that he slipped on I guess some clothing or something, loose material. Yes, it was in a congested area, so there wasn't a whole lot of room for him to move around anyway. But I don't think it's necessarily Stepanek's fault. To be honest, it may have just been an accident. But that's just what I think.
Well, as a manager, though, if something happens to somebody on your watch, it is your fault.
Right, and that's what I would say that as well.
You're always responsible for your team, or in this case, a contractor maybe. So it may not have directly been his fault, but because he's responsible for that area, it is his fault.
Okay, so let's assume that we decided we're going to fire him. What message would that send to the other workers and other managers?
Good question.
That depends on whether or not the reason for firing him was broadcast.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you think it should be broadcast?
Well,
I don't think so.
no.
No, I don't think that would. I don't think that would help I don't think that would help like the efficiency of the company. Like if it was something that would help other people and in the long run, I think it would help, but I think it's not something that's going to help everyone, like if on a need to know basis.
I don't think that it should be broadcast because it's not. Why you get fired is nobody else's business.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. What did he actually do, and how serious was the offense?
He sent an electrician in to a congested area without taking precautions beforehand.
In which he ended up slipping on some loose material and stuck out his hand to catch himself, which ended up suffering a second-degree burn, and he dislocated his shoulder.
Okay. So, would it be fair to fire him considering how other supervisors treat safety issues?
Say that one more time, Rick.
Would it be fair to fire him considering how other supervisors at the company treat safety issues?
Well, that's kind of why I'm worried about wrongful termination, because if they're not consistent and they haven't documented it and given him a warning beforehand, I would worry about a wrongful termination lawsuit. Although I don't know if you can do that in Indiana or wherever this place is. You can do it in California. You can sue for anything in California, but I don't know if Indiana, if that's even an option. But I would be worried about it.
Okay, so the next thing we're supposed to do is get into groups of 2, and we're supposed to have 3 different groups. Oh gosh. I don't know how we're supposed to do group work when we're all on the same Hangout, though. Let's see. So group, what was that?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Probably just like maybe team up.
We can try.
Just like kind of assign 2 people to think about this way, and then 2 other people to assign something to think about this way. I don't know.
Okay, so normally we would have 6, but one person will have to take one group by themselves. So I'll just go down the list. So Abby and Kyle, can you guys be in group 1? Nick and Robert, group 2, and then I'll look at group 3. So maybe, let's see. So it says for group 1, or maybe it'd be easiest if you guys just pull up the leader discussion and you can each look at your group.
Okay.
Since I didn't get a chance to look at them before, since Jason was going to be the leader. Does that make sense? Will that work?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so just look at those and then we'll take a few minutes, read over it, and then we'll come back and talk about them.
Hey, Jason.
What time was the meeting? I thought it was going to be at 7:30.
Sorry,
Now
we
6:30.
6:30. Yeah.
Oh no! I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm 30 minutes late.
Yeah, that's okay. What we're doing right now is we went ahead and just started, and we're each in a group, and we're just looking over our group stuff, and then we were going to come back together and go over it. So if you want to look at group 3 stuff, and then you can take over from here if you want.
That'll be great.
Okay, I think I'm ready whenever the rest of you guys are.
Mm-hmm.
What group are you in?
Group 3.
Okay. So group one should probably take the longest because they actually have quite a few calculations.
Ah, okay.
So if everyone's okay, why don't we start with group three then?
Okay. So
All right.
for group three, we were supposed to look through a list of injuries and kind of decide which one, or look for common themes. And some of the themes I saw were a lot of people tended to just like slip on something that was on the ground, like chips or a pot or just things like that, where someone's hand slipped off of a piece of equipment and they fell backwards off a wall. And then there was like equipment operators, like 4 in a row, in a matter of just like 7 days, that all had an injury. So it seems like maybe an equipment operator is a little more willing or in a situation to get hurt. And then I'm also supposed to explain what we learn about the safety issues from that list. My thinking is that they need to do more cleanup before they let people walk around, or make sure there's nothing on the ground, or especially even the issue we're talking about too. He slipped on some loose clothing, I think it was, or something on the ground. So it just seems like they need to be really aware of what's on the floor and what someone can trip on or slip on, and that would help a lot of issues.
So on that, let me ask you this then. What safety issue would be the easiest to solve? So you're saying, is it just paying more attention?
Yeah, just be aware, and if everybody is aware, and if you see something, pick it up. If there's, don't just think someone else is going to do it, or yeah, just make that more of a priority.
Excellent. All right, what about group two?
So we had, let's see. So we had to figure out which injury members, like which of the numbers are improving. And to me, it looked like most of them were, I mean, all of them have improved. I don't know if you saw anything differently, but the worst one that was on the list was improper position. And it was really bad all the way up to 1991, January through August. And then it dropped considerably, in a good way.
That's good.
Did you see anything else in there?
No, I didn't. Other than like with the atmospheric is the only one that really went up, and it only went up like one. There was
Yeah, it
congestion.
didn't go up by very much. So
No, like 1 point is all went up. So most of them, majority of them, are all improving.
So help me understand then, what would be the next step to help, looking at that report only, what would be your recommendation to increase safety?
That's a good question.
So because you noted that there's been a great overall, but they're not where they need to be according to the CEO. So how do they get there? What's that next step?
I would probably suggest continue looking at this list. I mean, they've talked about looking at the past, what's happened in the past. Okay, well, what do we need to improve that? What can we change maybe? So maybe continue to look at, well, there's some noise hazard problems, or there's some congestion problems. This goes back to, well, can we fix that? Can we improve that? I think that way that you can possibly do that. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, that totally does. I was writing it down. That absolutely, you're right. To me, it doesn't seem like there's like an overnight fix. You're right. So now it gets a little bit more difficult. All right, group one. Are we ready on questions?
Yeah. So we're just told to do some math to find out the productivity of the of the plant. So for example, it just told us to do some division, find out how many hours per ton, the productivity of each of a given date, and then compare it to the safety incidents. And what I wanted to see, what I wanted to know was the relationship between the safety and productivity of the Mission Valley, the productivity and the safety. And it looks, from what I have, and maybe Abby has something, maybe I did this wrong, but it looks like, oh, I got to go back and look at the dates. But from July 1991, it looks like that was the worst time where incidents went up and productivity. Wait a second. No, excuse me. Incidents went up and productivity went down, which means, up as well. A lower number, but with the more productivity, there is more incidents.
Right. So the annual numbers were going down. So it didn't matter. Let me look at the question again. For each period. Okay, so the annual numbers went down. So the amount of productivity, when safety improves, productivity does not decrease. So that's the answer to the question. The question was, when safety improves, does productivity decrease? The answer is no. When safety
go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
When safety improves, productivity increases, except for these two. So in July of 1991, like Kyle said, the productivity increased, but so did the safety issues.
Okay, so
yeah.
Outliers.
I'm sorry?
So there's a few outliers that are not congruent with the statement. Just like you said, there's a couple dates.
Yeah, if you look at the annual numbers are all fine. Their productivity increases as safety improves. But if you look at monthly numbers, because the annual numbers are only looking at averages, right? If you look at those July and August monthly numbers, those monthly numbers, in one of them, productivity decreases, but safety improves. But that's the second one. So it looks like in July, productivity increased, but so did the safety issues. But then the opposite happened in August. So it looks like they looked at July and said, we've had too many issues. We need to take a step back. And in August, they improved it, but their productivity went down.
So as a whole, when safety productivity increases, is that what the summary?
Yes.
Yeah. In general.
So why is that?
Well, because there's less incidents. You have to spend a lot more time and energy trying to fix a problem than if it never happened in the first place.
Yeah, good point. Now there's a view though that if you're focusing more on safety, you're taking away time from the job. So what you're saying then is, if the more focus on safety, the less the incidents, the more productivity.
I'd say there's a point. Obviously, there's a point where if you put too much safety in, productivity is gonna go down. But there is definitely, overall in general, the more safety you have, the more productive you're going to be. For example, in the earlier where it talks about the trucks or the speed limit, where they decreased the speed limit, there was lower incidents, there's lower maintenance on the trucks, there was lower everything, which saved them money in the end, and they were able to be more productive.
Right. Very good.
Like Kyle said, I think that there's a sweet spot especially in manufacturing. There's a sweet spot for your production, your productivity level, and there's a sweet spot for your safety. Like there has to be some sort of, you can't produce at a max amount forever. You'll wear people out.
I wonder if we could use like a break-even analysis equation on this and get the same thing instead of with money with incidents and hours.
Yeah, you can figure it out.
That would be what we've got.
But I don't know.
Yeah, that's very interesting to see at what point then does that not work where productivity will continue to increase and save? I mean, if so, even in group 2 said that we've gotten to a really good point, even a sticking point where it's going to be difficult to decrease the number of incidents. So if we were to able to decoint, though, will productivity suffer?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. Can you repeat the question?
No, it would. Okay, you can pass on it. It was just more of a general comment trying to combine the 3 groups. So I guess the question I have for everybody here is, are you surprised by what you found?
No.
I'm not surprised.
No.
All right. So everyone seems to be together on saying that where we're at with Mission Valley. So let me ask you this: what are the next challenges for Mission Valley? How do they get to their goals? So let me ask a different question. What has Mission Valley done in the past to improve its safety record so much that they have so few serious injuries compared to other companies?
I think go ahead, Abby.
Sorry. I think part of it has to do with the fact that they have an entire team just dedicated to watching out for safety issues.
Where they had the mindset where if one incident, happened, it still wasn't good enough in the CEO's mind. So if they have that mindset where even if one incident happens, it's not okay, then they'll always get better.
Good. So
yeah, they also invest. Sorry. They also investigated the incident, so they didn't just say, "Oh man, that was just an accident." There wasn't anything behind that. They actually investigated it to see if there really was something behind the accident, if there was more to it than just an accident.
So focusing more on the future, then, what do they need to do to be able to accomplish their goal? So if I can take, as you guys are thinking about that, let me take away from what group 3 said, to be more aware of their surroundings. If something's wrong, fix it. So it sounds like it's behavioral. How do you change someone's behavior then to continue moving that number down?
Well, you could probably give incentives for safety, maybe. Or
Well, there's always training, I guess, but there's only so much training you can do, right?
yeah,
But if you have that, like last week's stuff was on, if you have the right training, then they actually take into heart what you're saying and apply it. But it's more of a cultural change.
Yeah, I think if.
So let me ask.
Sorry, I think if it's consistent training, then it's going to eventually wear down on them to the point that it's going to be in their heads without them having to think about it. And so that may help improve productivity.
So another question then would motivate workers to want to be safer then?
Yeah, I would think so.
Hopefully the guy dying will help.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
What was the response? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
I said, hopefully the guy dying will help.
Okay, yeah. That's a good deterrent. So let me ask you this then. If we talk about that, how many people actually wear their seatbelts, since we all know we're supposed to wear seatbelts? How many people die on the roads? Does everybody always wear their seatbelts? What about texting and driving? What about using crosswalks? How many people drive the speed limit? So if I've said anything, you might be like, well, so then I guess we fall in the same category as the workers. It's a behavior. So with that being said, then how do we?
Frank, I think we lost him. Oh, was that me that dropped, or was that him?
No, it's him.
No, I think that was him.
We lost mid-sentence, Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I think
changing behaviors, we, as far as this team have been, do you text on the road? Use crosswalks? Do you drive the speed limit? Behaviors, we still do some of those. What would get them to change their behavior?
I think it goes along with enforcing it. I mean, there's got to be a way to enforce it.
Right, some kind of accountability.
yeah, I think something relatable as well. Because if it's not relatable to them, then they're not going to really care about it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the reason why people don't always follow the rules is because they think they're not going to be the one that actually gets hurt. Like, well, if I'm texting and driving, like other people get hurt doing that, but for some reason we don't really think it's ever going to happen to us, and really it can. So I don't know. There's got to be a way to help them realize that. I mean, safety is for everybody's benefit, for you, the driver, and for other people you may injure. But how to get that point across more, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I like the idea of holding people accountable. I mean, if there's a worse consequence for you not wearing your safety goggles, you're probably going to wear them.
So let's change gears real quick. And what I'd like to do is go to Exhibit 11, 1992 Summary of Safety Department Plans that she was going to try to submit. And what was her name? Oh, shoot.
Susan?
Yeah, yes. And so what I'd like to do is, if I could have someone just read the 6 bullet points, then I really want to ask you to change it. Hey, what would we do to make this better, that we could submit it and feel good about it? Could I just have someone read the 6 bullet points real quick?
Yeah, I'll read it. So it says, monitor complete implementation of recommendations on falls, which is establish reporting procedure and provide detailed tracking and reports. We're supposed to conduct stage 3 training for all supervisors and lead operators. Publish a bi-weekly newsletter on safety in plant, which we're supposed to coordinate with Pittsburgh. Improve safety committee operations, which is better information, train committee leaders at crew level. Establish safety recognition program, which awards and dinner based on performance improvement, which makes it fun. And meet with superintendents on a monthly basis to review safety performance, improve the meetings, and the monthly reports.
All right, so first thing first, what does everyone, if I can get some feedback on what you would keep? What do you think, wow, this is a great idea, I want this in the plan?
Stage 3 training for all supervisors and operators.
Number
More
6,
training.
superintendents on a monthly basis.
Okay, number 6.
I think number 5 is good too. I know a lot of companies who get bonuses at the end of the year because of safety evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay, with that being said, then what would we change? What would we alter to make this a little better?
Maybe change the newsletter thing on safety. I mean,
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest, not everyone's gonna read about safety
Read it?
in the newsletter.
I agree.
I'm sorry, I think I laugh at that.
I do agree too. So what would we do? How do we improve that?
Don't do it.
So then how could we improve the communication then?
Well, it has a training for supervisors and lead operators, but it doesn't have training for any of just the regular employees that are working with the equipment every day.
True.
Come. Can I throw something out? I know this is 1992 and we're talking about present, but personally, when I saw that newsletter, I agree. I was like, really? But maybe you could do integrate new apps and maybe have a safety tweet every day or something small. They're going to look at their phone anyway. Keep safety on the mind without making a boring newsletter.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Obviously, this is a different industry, but I know of a company that does that. Except they have their own app, and the feedback that I got from the employees was not very good off of it. They said it was more annoying than anything until they started giving bonuses on the app. So they awarded, for the month for the safety, the person who had the most safety, they awarded, I don't know, a free dinner to Applebee's or whatever for him and his wife.
And then they publish that.
Congratulations. But just like a thing saying, "Good job, guys. There's no actions this month." I'm like, I don't really care. I do care, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really want to read this right now.
Okay, that's good. So they made it practical.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, anything else that you would change?
That's good.
I
Okay.
think.
So
sorry.
then I have one other.
I think I would be a little bit more specific with number 4. What information is she talking about?
Yeah.
All right, so more specific.
It says better information. I mean, yeah, I agree with Abby. Like, what else is there to say? I mean, training committee leaders, what else? Yeah, so be more specific.
Oh, it does say train committee leaders and crew level. That's good.
Yeah, but
Committee
Bert's
leaders
point,
at crew.
that's not the crew. It's just the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
At that level, yeah.
And then they're committee leaders. They're not just the supervisors. They're people who are. So then if you were to improve safety committee operations, what do you recommend?
I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know why.
And I don't know because I don't know exactly what their procedures are. Like, are they doing plant walks? Are they doing frequent inspections? Do they have auditors coming in? What are the current procedures?
We don't know. So what I'm doing, I'm writing down what you just said as far as to add the specifics in there, and we're just going to assume that works.
Okay.
Because you're right, we don't know. We don't have all of that detail, so we're just going to say, hey, to improve on the word better information, we're going to say plant walks, inspections, like you said, audits.
Right. Well, and I'm guessing that they are probably inspected. I mean, OSHA can show up whenever they want. I used to work in a manufacturing facility that was FDA regulated, and the FDA can show up whenever they want too. I don't know if there's somebody that's just randomly showing up to do an inspection like the FDA would, and if there is, then they'll likely give them audit results, and then they can make improvements based off of those results.
Okay, so if audits aren't done, then obviously an external audit would be great, but if an audit is done, understood.
Mm-hmm.
So then I have one final thing I'd like to talk to everyone about, and it's really about what we've already addressed it. How do you change the culture? So as I read through the case study, I found myself getting frustrated at some of the crew members and line level employees because I felt that they just didn't take the safety as serious as other people did. So what can we do to really change the culture there and improve that?
I really think enforcing it, like, that's probably the main thing. I don't know how you would enforce something like that, but there's got to be a way to enforce the safety of a manufacturing plant. I mean, you got to do this or else you're going to get fired, I guess.
Well,
Yeah.
really, that's
There's
what it comes down to. Do this or you're going to get fired, because OSHA won't put up with safety violations, and
Right.
you can't, I mean, the company can't even get away with it. The company can be fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for OSHA violations if they're caught. So maybe going back to that app idea, I like the app idea. Maybe if they did an app and the app allowed for them to anonymously report safety issues, maybe they would get more information that way and could improve safety from people that are actually on the line anonymously reporting them.
And
That's a really good idea.
that's a really good idea, because they do the audit, but the people doing the audit even made it, hey, by the way, you're going to be audited, so they were on their best behavior.
Right.
Right. This is a way to say, okay, well, the audits may not be the best, but hey, look at this. So another way to improve it.
Don't tell them when they're being
So let me
audited.
ask, yeah, I agree. So when I hear the word enforcing it, I want to go back to the video from Dan Pink. Does anybody remember the 3 ways he said to really create the environment to allow someone to be successful? There's 3 exact actions.
Mm.
I don't
Is it
remember.
I'm not sure if you guys remember.
Is an incentive one of them?
Kind of. Well, I had to go back to the video. I didn't remember off the top of my head. The first one was autonomy, like Google's 1 day off of. The next one was mastery, the urge to get better at stuff. And the last one was purpose, making a contribution. So with that in mind, improve the culture. What do you think? What are some options? And we're just brainstorming, so they don't have to be realistic. It is what it is.
Maybe it talked about how the workers working close to the air, what was it called, the smoldering, or where they could get burned. It was like a cool thing, like, oh yeah, this is the not safe part, and we're tough because of that. Because our dads did it and their dads did it, and we're just like them. And it almost needs to get some people outside of the community who don't have that feeling of like, oh, my dad did it and I have to be tough. Someone who's more willing to look at the safety of it and be like, no, I don't really want to get burned. I don't think that's tough. I don't know, maybe bringing some people outside of the community that didn't have their dad's dad doing it, and would help kind of the culture of like, no, we need to be safe. Like, it doesn't matter if we're tough. It's more important that we're safe.
Great suggestion. That would definitely start altering the culture.
Yeah, but only
Anything else?
until the long timers had some sort of effect on them. Yeah, you don't need to do it that way. They just
Yeah, you'd probably seen as a weakling if you came in. That's true.
Peer pressure was thinking.
It's not like you definitely shouldn't just fire all the workers who feel that way, but how do you get rid of that idea? I don't know.
Well, I think you said it. Like, it's like bringing those people in, but making sure those people have a voice that is comparable to the long-term people that have been there for a long time. Because if it's somebody that's quiet and it doesn't stand up for themselves, then they're going to be sucked into that peer pressure. But if it's somebody that has a voice, then they're going to talk those other people into doing the right thing versus doing something that's been done historically.
Maybe some really experienced people in another plant similar to that have the experience to back them up, but they also have that safety more so. I don't know.
so
That way they
going
actually
back to
have some experience.
what you were talking about, I noticed responsibility came up a lot. What if so safety is everybody's responsibility, and when it comes to being safe, your only boss is yourself. So, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. What am I trying to say? Everybody's responsible for it. So if you notice even management, supervisors, whatever, if you notice that they're not being safe, then you can call them on that without fear of like a whistleblower protection type of thing.
That's really good. So what you're doing then is giving them, that's part of autonomy. Everyone is responsible for safety. So if someone sees something wrong, you're managing up, there's no fear.
Right.
Let's just do it. We're all on the same page.
Right.
One of the things I heard was there's a lot of tradition. People have just been doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm sure after you talk about safety, you go back to work and do the same thing for 8 hours, you're going to go right back to your habits.
Mm-hmm.
Recognition, a lot of pointing out before that change will happen. You know, one of the things I thought of, and I don't know if this is even practical, but to give them autonomy, it's really maybe to do just informal, like, I don't know, circles where you just say, okay, guys, what can we improve? How would you guys, what can we do to make this safer? Because the people on the line, the people doing this and that will probably know and what the shortcuts they're taking more than the managers and supervisors. So I thought just like town hall meetings on safety, just say, hey, you name it. Let's choose 3 things we're going to do. And I mean, obviously you can't do everything for money's sake, but just what do they need? Instead of just everyone else has always done it. I don't know, just something like that.
I think that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that mentor circle. Everybody has a voice.
All right, so how about this? Let me ask, what did you learn from talking about this case that would apply to future workplaces?
Productivity
Yes.
and safety go hand in hand. Usually you're more productive if the plant is safer, if you're worried about safety.
Very good. Anybody else?
Probably say that safety is a really important thing in any industry, really. I mean, especially in a machine shop or a manufacturing company like this one. But it's safe. It's important anywhere, no matter what type of industry you're in.
Very good, very good.
I'd probably say, I'd bring it back and I'd say productivity goes up when there's more safety involved.
Because people are focused on their jobs.
Yeah, and I also think people can focus better if they, like going back to what Abby said about making sure everybody has a voice and being able to report safety issues. And then once they report it, it's off their mind and they don't have to really worry about it when hopefully that the issue will be fixed.
Excellent. I know personally, I learned that it's in the details, that don't overlook the small little details, like even taking off a glove can cause a serious injury, something so small, but you know, to improve safety, it's all in the details. So any final comments? Because that's about it. So real quick then, can I find out what did you guys decide to do with, what's his name? Stefanik? What did the group decide? Do they terminate him? What was the collective decision?
I don't know that we had a collective decision.
Okay, so everyone had different opinions?
I think we kind of decided that it depended on if the other 2 incidences were recorded or something like that.
Okay.
If the other 2 were, then yes, it was probably a definite termination of the guy. And if the other 2 hadn't been reported, then there might be some leniency to let this one slide or something.
Very HR-like.
Well, this is an HR class.
All right, guys, that's it. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm so sorry I was late. I apologize.
You're fine.
That's okay.
Happens.
Hey, are we good with the doohickey thing? Everybody has their stuff in?
Abby, I have
Nope.
like one sentence. I have one sentence left to do, and then it'll be in. Sorry about that, but it's really close to being done. So I'll have that just right after this.
What about you, Robert?
I haven't got it written up yet, but I'll get it done ASAP. I was gonna kind of go off of safety being the most important thing for a solution, or the most important problem for the thing, because it's essentially what we've been talking about. So,
Right.
but yeah, I'll get it written up. Sorry that it's not done yet.
Okay. Okay.
All right. See you guys next week. Have any questions, email us.
Okay, do you want me to? I'll go ahead and post this since I was the one who started it, or can you post it, Jason? I can't. It's probably only me.
Yeah, if you started it, yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and post it to the community then.
All right.